Story. Chapter 2 A New Friend. See you, Midoriya. Todoroki bid him goodbye before departing. Izuku felt his phone vibrate and checked to find a message from his mom. Izuku, could you buy these stuffs in the store before you go home? I'm sorry, love you. He texted his mom back, and put his phone back in his pocket. Izuku then made his way home, after buying some groceries from the convenience store. But a familiar person caught his eye, sitting on the curb in front of the store, with a big bag next him. He recognized him, Kaminari. The yellow-haired boy slowly looked up at where the voice was coming from. Midoriya. He squinted a bit. Kaminari looked very pale and frail as if he hadn't eaten in days. He had baggy eyes and his lips were dry. Izuku knelt down. Are you okay? Kaminari let out a weak laugh. What are talking about? He told. I'm fine. His voice then became shaky as if he was about to cry. He didn't want to face Izuku. Izuku knew there was something wrong, so he joined him, sitting next to him on the curb. You're still in your school uniform and the temperature has dropped rapidly right now. You should better go home, he said with a lowly voice. Izuku sighed, letting a massive smoke of cold air appeared from his nose. Did something happen? Kaminari brought his knees closer to his chest, hugging his legs, as he buried his face. Izuku stayed silent as the atmosphere became off. The silence has made him uncomfortable and was afraid that he too was making him uncomfortable as well. Kaminari then spoke. See, can you not tell this to anyone? Izuku nodded immediately. Of course. He then slowly lifted his face to face Izuku. The boy with the green vest had shock eyes when he saw Kaminari with teary, swollen eyes. He has never seen the school's most cheerful and funniest guy, crying in sorrow in front of him. He smiled weakly. Got kicked out by my parents. He looked away and started crying. Izuku then felt terribly sorry for the news. He didn't know what to say because he has never encountered such complicated situation like this. Why? He asked hesitantly. Kaminari took a long pause before he could answer his question. I was caught by my dad, partying in the club, drinking, skipping school, making out with random girls who I don't even know. Quote. The more he says, the tighter his voice gets. The tone of regrets. Izuku formed a thin line of his mouth. It was beginning to get dark and the weather was getting worse. I don't know where to go now, he continued, crying softly, gritting his teeth tightly, feeling his chest tighten. Izuku sighed and stood up. Kaminari looked up at him and saw him reaching out his hand to him. Come on, I'll let you come over to my place for a while, if you'd like. Kaminari widened his eyes, and soon later after that, his eyes began to form more tears and he began crying once again. He grabbed Izuku's hand as he helped the helpless guy up. Kaminari stopped after a while. Thank you so much, Midoriya-kun. Izuku gave him a soft smile. Who knew that the person who I barely know is the person who is suffering from such tragic situation? And I was the one who offered him the help he needed. Promoted stories. You'll also like Devotion Rightwards Two-Headed Arrow Katsuki Bakugo X Reader 1.6M47.1K. YN is a new student at UA High. She moved away with her dad a few years ago after her mom disappeared. While she lived here, her two friends Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki. Something unforeseen. Completed. 13.7K376. Izuku Midoriya is a young high schooler who oftentimes keeps to himself, and he enjoys this tranquil lifestyle. He enjoys comic books and keeps his grades up and is your Plus Ultra Shoto Todoroki X Reader X Izuku 841K24.9K. Being rewritten. You and your twin brother, Katsuki Bakugo, have been close your whole life. Even through you two were close, You've always been homeschooled, for Rees. Hikari. Open hollow corner bracket volume 2 Omake's close hollow corner bracket. 6.8K 195. Blank, underscore, blank, and quote. This is the story of how we all became the greatest heroes. End quote. Blank, underscore, blank. Mania. Katsuki Bakugo. 159K 7.4K. Mania UA. High is the birthplace of legendary pro heroes and a bountiful source of memories. Memories are meant to be cherished. Memories are what make our lives. Lover's Day. Izuku Midoriya x Reader x Bakig. 181K 6.1K. Valentine's Day Competition. At Your Hero Academia. What will happen when an innocent holiday becomes a vicious competition? Friends become rivals. Rivals remain Look at me. Bakugo x Reader. 330K 9.7K. You spent your childhood defending your best friend, Izuku, claiming that one day the two of you will be a pro-hero duo, not caring that your friend is quirkless. While, let's go, my house isn't that far, Izuku told him as they both made their way to his home. After a 10-minute walk, they've reached his house. His house was decent and looked very expensive. There was a big wooden gate in front of it. Izuku rang the bell. Who is it? Said the voice in the speaker. It's me, Mom, and I brought along a guest. After a couple of seconds, the gate opened and what appeared was a short, chubby lady who is so-called Izuku's mother. Hey, Mom, he greeted her with a kiss on the cheek like every mama's boy. Welcome back, Izuku, and who is this friend of yours? I thought it would be Todoroki or Iida. Izuku shook his head. No, not today, meet Kaminari. I'm going to let him stay for night. Good evening. Nice to meet you. Kaminari bowed politely. Izuku's mom smiled in response. Nice to meet you. Now come on, get inside. It's really chilly out here. The two entered the gate and then inside the house. The house was big but just right. The tiles were huge and the furnitures looked very expensive. And on one wall, there were a lot of certificates framed on the wall. All were Izuku's accomplishment throughout these years of his life. Kaminari looked over to that wall with Izuku next to him. Wow, I know you're smart, but I never knew achieving all these could make you look like a famous idol or something. Izuku chuckled and blushed a bit. It's not like that. Kaminari joined in too and began to give low chuckle. I wish I could accomplish something like you. His smile slowly disappeared. Izuku looked over to him. Unlike me, I'm good for nothing. Not even a good son to my own parents, he added. Izuku has never seen this side of Kaminari. He usually just slacks off stuffs like it's nothing, but it's known that he has deep secrets hidden inside him, locked and casted away from the outside world, not knowing himself anymore. Izuku placed his hand on the guy's shoulder. Hey, people makes mistakes, there are some which can't be fixed but most of them can. Kaminari gazed at him. And no one said that fixing your problem isn't an option. But it's too late by now. He looked down, hopeless. Izuku put his hands in his waist. And who says it's too late? There's always a chance in everything, Kaminari. That's how you can achieve something if you give it a chance. Kaminari stayed quiet and let out a small smile. Thanks, Midoriya. Izuku smiled back. Anytime, he chuckled. To be honest, Midoriya, you were the very first person whom I told my personal problems with, he said. And I'm actually glad it was you. Izuku grinned in embarrassment. It's nothing. Kaminari smiled happily again. Now, come on, I'll take you to the guest room. The two went upstairs and entered the guest room. The room wasn't normal but enormous. It doesn't look like a guest room anymore but a master's one. Wow, Kaminari said in awe. Izuku then took out the blankets and pillows from the cupboard. Just put your bag there next to the bed. Kaminari kept silent, which made Izuku stop his actions to check on him. Hey, everything alright? Nothing. I'm just thankful that you gave a lot of effort just to help me, he spoke. Izuku smiled. It's okay. We're friends now, right? Kaminari was surprised with his words. Friends? Nobody has ever made friends with him properly. Izuku nodded. Yeah, friends, he said along with a grin. The yellow-haired boy looked down, smiling on his own, with a tear falling off from his eye. I made a friend. Izuku, it's time for dinner. Izuku's mom called from downstairs. Izuku then fixed his pillow. Alright, let's go have dinner, now. Kaminari nodded back and followed him to the dining room. The next day, Izuku and Kaminari walked to school together that morning. Right now, the two were slowly feeling comfortable with each other like real friends, and Kaminari was becoming like his true self back then, which shows that he's slowly recovering. Izuku was glad he was, because Kaminari's happy attitude was bringing Izuku good vibes and non-stop smiling. They both entered class and sat on their respective places. Good morning, Midoriya, Todoroki greeted him at the boy with the green vest to his seat. You're pretty late today. Sorry, I slept a bit late last night, Izuku answered. Todoroki sighed, shaking his head. As expected as always, he told. Anyways, since when did you and Kaminari start talking? Izuku looked over to Kaminari, who was quietly sitting on his seat, staring at the window. We just somehow bumped into each other in the hallways. Todoroki nodded. Also, do you remember about later? Izuku looked at him confused. Later, we're having PE later, remember? He reminded. Izuku already knew, but what was the big deal? I know, so, it was told that this time, the boys and girls in the class are having it together, Todoroki said in excitement. Really, Izuku didn't really care, but the fact that they changed the rule is just what he wanted to question about. Todoroki smirked at the boy. Oh, excited as well, huh? Izuku blushed. Hey, it's not like that. Todoroki laughed. You're gonna see Uraraka in her shorts later, he teased. Izuku glared at the guy, giving a punch on the leg. I said it's not like that, idiot, he continued. But you also have a reason, and is to see Momo's flawless legs, huh? Todoroki didn't even fight back or feel embarrassed, but just agreed with him. Of course, it was my dream too. Izuku breathed out, annoyed. Good morning, Midoriya-kun, said the girl with the brown hair. Oops, well then, will you excuse me, Tilda? Todoroki smoothly left the scene, leaving the two. Good morning, Uraraka-san, he greeted her back. She set her bag on the side of table. Don't forget about later, she giggled softly. Why yeah, he responded.